my phone was not turning on, so for some reason it just shut off. Not too happy about that, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully shortly it can turn back on. Maybe I'll just turn on my iPad. So anyway, so this is the video, even though it's Thursday, before the Sabbath, because Friday is a day of mourning, sadness that the temple, it was the beginning of the end. The temple was, the Jerusalem was laid under siege by Nebuchadnezzar, Babylonian king, and then 30 months later is when they breached in, and then it was the 9th of Tammuz, 9th of Av, 2 dates where they actually breached in, and then they also, God delayed the punishment so that they could actually, repent, but they didn't stop doing what they were doing, or they didn't do better, and so it was breached, and eventually, it was laid under siege, then it was breached, and then they actually destroyed the temple, and exiled the Jews. All right, so I want to share, something I was looking into about the months of my life. I realized in 2 months is my birthday, so I want to share first my Jewish birthday, and also my, it's about a month and a half till my secular birthday. So on March 30, 2024, my Hebrew birthday becoming in 33, which was 2 weeks from in 2 weeks from the day that I wrote it. It would complete at that time 408 months, 33 years times 12 months, plus 12 leap year months in my life. The cycle of leap years restarts every 19 years in the Jewish calendar. The last restart, this was my Jewish birthday, so the last restart was in 5776. I was born in 5751. Leap years of the 19th cycle are every 3rd, 6th, 8th, 11th, 14th, 17th, and 19th years. From 5776, the 3rd year was 5779. Then the 6th year is 5782. The 8th year was 5784. That's 3 plus an entire 7 from the previous 19-year cycle, which ended in 5757. In 5755 was a leap year 17th year of the previous one, and a leap year 5752, the year after I was born, the 14th year before. So it was just interesting to learn about how many months I was alive. So it was 408 months. So we would say in 5785, it was another 12 months. So we would say it's like 420 months. In 575, 420 months at the birthday. So I want to share Joel 2:20. It was my Living Deeply pasuk from this chamber. So Living Deeply was this class that I was in where we explored various different ways of learning from the verses of the Torah, both the scriptures, and then later on there were some people who did from the prophets and the writings, which I did later. So it was the group is called Living Deeply, and each person got a personal verse for the year. My 3rd year of doing this, I did one every single month for a year. So there was 2 Adars. In the first Adar, my verse was from Joel 2:20. From this chamber comes the Spirit. Wait. But I will remove from you the northern one, and will drive him into a barren and desolate land, with his face toward the east sea and back toward the western sea. And his foulness shall come up, and his ill savor shall ascend, though he's done great things. So in the Zohar, chapter 60 of Pekudei, verse 928, or piece 928, depends how it's divided, on the 7th chamber of the other side, to the side of holiness, the side of defilement, evil, the dregs of wine. It says, from this chamber comes the spirit in charge of the spirits called northern. In Hebrew we say tzafoni. And this is derived from the verse, whoever hides her hides, because it's like a word play. Tzafon hides the wind, which is the spirit. So thinking of the north wind, right? That's Mishlei Proverbs 27:16. This spirit, that the Zohar is quoting, doing a word play from Proverbs by King Solomon. This spirit is in charge. And the 7th chamber corresponds to the name called the nether parts of the earth. Ezekiel 31:16 refers to it. Of this it is written, and I will remove far from you the northern one. That's from Joel. I want to talk about ego traps and also about how to get unstuck. Okay, so ego traps. They could be tricky, slippery, insidious, and hard to escape. Let's talk about envy. Pain at someone else's pleasure, and sadism, which is pleasure at someone else's pain. I learned those two, the flips. It's an interesting flip from Aubrey Marcus. Envy is feeling pain that someone else has pleasure, and sadism is pleasure at someone else's pain. These are ego traps. Never good enough. Requires someone to be in the inferior position so the other can defend from feelings of unworthiness and appear, superior, grandiose, special. Katherine Fabrixio talks about these things. Also, guilt trap, protecting from abandonment by being clingy, needy, dramatic. And one who says no feels bad about their self with this outsized responsibility to never upset, disappoint, or reject, the other. Self-doubt, she talks about also carrying the fears and doubts that have been projected by the other person. And of course, mixed messages, taking on hostility, walking on eggshells, feeling put down or swiped at from someone who has shame from intergenerational wounding and trauma. She says that the psychological holds from a person with limitations or disorder that are for bonding. So you could call them ego traps. They're like a hold from the psyche, which, this person has limitations, bonding limitations, a disordered bonding. So could be traits, personality. They used to call it histrionic, narcissistic, borderline personality. And then how do we get unstuck? Talking in general about being unstuck. So Shawn Sheehan, hashmatpour, he's a coach. I learned a lot from him over the last year or two, however long I've been learning from his writings. So first of all, you have, and some videos also, you have to identify the block, number one. So let's say the block is feeling unworthy. That's like a awareness of a core belief. Two, we have to unblock how it shows up in a particular area. For example, work. We have to trust the execution of skills, inventory of skills, trusting ourselves to execute our skills, that we have an inventory of skills, and also to reprogram our ideas about failure. So again, let's say this, this feeling unworthy in work, how does it show up, right? So not trusting our own skills, that we have the skills and our ideas around failure. And also we have to focus on showing up and giving value rather than needing an outcome like external validation. So if we show up and we're offering something, we're transforming it from needing external validation, whether it's money, fame, certifications, right? Being posted about on a blog, or we shift the paradigm to be of service. It's with practical approaches, and therefore we can create opportunities and see potential to be of service. Unblocking because it's something that wants to go out, it finds places to go, right? When we want to take in, we have to look everywhere to take in who, and we'll feel like powerless about it. Here we're becoming a creator. 3, we have to unblock in another area, let's say dating and relationships. So this could be about releasing control and expectations of what the dating and relationship will be about and what it will do for us. Recognizing that showing up is enough. There's nothing else needed in order to prove our worth. And remembering rejection is not personal. It's about the one who's rejecting, not the one being rejected. The one who's saying no, not the one who's being said no to, because compatibility and free choice means we can actually just talk to more people. There's more options. Even if there was fear before about this, it's just how to because of the unworthiness and the potential rejection, we can just be natural. If it hurts to be rejected, we could feel a little hurt. We don't have to pretend. It's enough that we have interest. We don't have to prove that we're worthy of the other person's interest. Our interest is enough. We start to become a level of self-worth where me being interested in you is enough of an offer, right? I don't have to prove to you that I'm worthy of your interest. If you're interested in me or you reject my interest, that's it, right? So we take this charge, this hiding kind of energy of the fear. 4, we motivate instead of demotivate. It could be business, fitness, creativity. Goals and work don't have to cause pressure or beating ourselves up. Remember, we're going forward rather than trying to get something in. Shaming is not helpful. We create measurable new beliefs that increase our presence, our self-compassion. In other words, instead of saying I'm never going to be in shape, we say I want to be able to do 10 push-ups tomorrow. We do 10 push-ups tomorrow. We now have, I can do 10 push-ups, or I can spend 20 minutes exercising. We prove it to ourselves through this way by doing it, rather than just being mean to ourselves when we don't even have anything to prove it. Either way, we find things to say that we're doing, that we're bad, or not worthy, rather than actually seeing how we're worthy. And things like healthier eating, feeling productive with these small wins, like making one choice, I'm not going to eat sugar with that meal, or feeling productive, like I'm going to work for 5 extra minutes today, or I'm going to go to the gym for a class, even though I'm not yet ready to motivate myself. Whatever, just examples. These will bring motivation across the board in all areas of life, versus when we're being hard on ourselves, it burns out our passion, our excitement. Anyway, completely, it burns us out. Like it burns us out, not in any particular area. Instead, it just burns us out rather than motivates us in general. So motivation is broad spectrum, and demotivation is broad spectrum. And then finally, we have the pursuit, where we choose something that combines our talent and our ideas that can shine light. So we actually are. It's like if you were a talent agency, you wouldn't make someone who's good at juggling, ride on a unicycle. So we find our talents and our ideas that could shine light and radiate. Remember this whole idea of sending out radiation. So we're radiating our talents and our skills and our ideas. We join groups that support and or have peers and our community and or communities of like-minded individuals. We embody this vision of the Creator. One is becoming, rather than judging our creations out of fear of others' thoughts. Let me say that in other words. We embody the vision of the Creator One, the Creator that we are. Like if I'm becoming the Creator, I embody that vision, rather than I think about, well, I made this, and what if people don't like it? So instead, I become the Creator that I'm becoming. So I'm becoming the Creator, and I'm envisioning my becoming of the Creator. And instead of looking at the creations like they're separate and others' thoughts could give them worth or not worth. And so, in other words, that some of these items, the creations, I don't have to identify with the creations. They are my creations, but I don't have to judge my creations fearfully that others are going to think that they're rejected, that others might potentially reject them, have aversion towards them, be turned off or even offended. We can take creativity off the leash when we're expressing ourselves. We don't have to constantly keep looking at it from the outside and looking at our creation and analyzing. We could just be creative, being creative energy flowing out in order to feel free and stimulated and inspired. We become a stimulated, inspired, free person. And a last thing that two last things actually that I wanted to share is so first of all, Chayenu is a publication with Chitas, which is Chumash Tehillim Tanya. The Pentateuch, the 5 books, the Tehillim is the Psalms, and the Tanya is a special book written by the Alter Rebbe, the first Chabad Rabbi. So there's a part, page 127, the Parsha was Vayakel, and it was from March 3 to 9. It's each week they come out with a new edition, 2024. It was from Sanhedrin 48, which is in the Talmud. This is from there. So Rambam, Sefer HaMitzvahs, talks about, and Hilchas Edus, chapter 1, halacha 4. So this is the Sefer HaMitzvahs. They include that in the same book with Chayenu, with these 3. They also have a Yom Yom, which is the daily reader kind of. So the 179th mitzvah is that we're connecting to investigate a witness's testimony. Sorry, we're commanded. The 179th mitzvah from the Torah, there's like a book of the commandments. We're commanded by the Rambam, organized it. Others have organized it as well. Rambam is Maimonides. So we are commanded to investigate a witness's testimony before inflicting punishment and issuing a legal decision. We must be as exact as possible in order to avoid making innocent people guilty by reaching a decision based on a first impression or in haste. So even here, when we have assigned judges, they cannot be hasty and they cannot use first impressions. How much more so, like you see everything we've been talking about, the ego traps and all that. In Deuteronomy Devarim 13:15, it says, "You shall inquire, investigate, ask thoroughly." So there's something called drishos, which are questions about the main subject of testimony, and chakiros, which include location and time, whether it was the year of Shemitah cycle, the month, the date, the day of the week, the hour, about this, so quote-unquote crime, or the incident, right? The subject of the testimony. And then the last thing I want to share on that same parsha, the portion of the week, which was Vayakel, I think I mentioned that, the 7 lamps of the menorah. This is great because it was just Hanukkah. So the 7th Lubavitcher Rebbe, the Rabbi menachem Mendel shneerson, he said, so I mentioned the Alter Rebbe, the Rebbe shneer zalmen of liadi, who wrote the Tanya, the first Chabad Rebbe. And then here's the 7th one. He says the 7 lamps of the menorah signify these, and this is from Likutei Torah 329b. It says the 7 lamps of the menorah signify those 7 basic types, and each type has a particular path in revealing divinity based on the 7 basic emotions. 1, love of God. 2, awe of God. 3, connecting to God through studying Torah. 4, overcoming obstacles, opposing God in the world. 5, appreciating God's goodness. 6, pride of being God's emissary in the world. And 7, humility. I'm going to stop here and wish us a beautiful Shabbos where we have clean and week where we where we have clean, pure energy. Like, think of ourselves as a candle. We have because it says there's a quote, about how the soul of man is the candle of God, but like the idea that the body, the animal soul, on the left side of the heart in the Tanya, it says that it's like we transform this lust for pleasure, the animal soul, in the substances of the world. We need it. So we can actually transform that using the right side of the heart, this love of God, the divine soul. So the animal soul, the divine soul, we could transform this energy and lift it up to God and then make it like our pleasure in God and divinity. But actually in the physical world, we don't want to get burnt out, these little flamey, this little fiery little sparks of love. We want to actually have a stable, strong love. So thinking of a light bulb, which has a resistor, it has a filament. And so it refuses, instead of a short socket, like a burnt out socket or frying up, like a short circuit, that's what's called, blow a fuse, right? It's like we refuse, so it's like pushing back, coming, we like push it back a little. We don't grab it all in, like we actually push back a little, we radiate a little, and then what comes in is supposed to come in this special way where we have a light bulb shining for a long time. These light bulbs last a long time. And then you think of a candle, if you just have a little wick, it would burn up in like a few seconds, less than 30 seconds probably, a little wick. But if you've got oil or wax or fat or whatever you fuel, it burns for a long time. So we want to have clean, pure fuel. We don't want to just burn up. So we use our substance, our physicality, our materialism, our body to actually give us a long-standing bright light. And maybe we all do that. And maybe we have connection and laughter and fun and community and good learning and having good guidance, healthy, pure guidance. And our electronic devices should serve us to do good. My phone should turn back on. Anyone else who needs something like that, it should work. The technology should serve us, and Hashem, God, should help us to always have all the right foods and drinks that we need, and to have a feeling of welcoming and belonging and like community and amen. And so this Shabbos is Vayechi, which means and the life, like, and to live, and like long live, and like life too, and Yechi, and he lived, or like you could say it in different ways. What are we gonna look up? And it's the last of the book of Bereshis, the last of the book of Bereshis, the 5 books. So it's like kind of, you'd say lived, or and he lived, and then you would use it to modify a person. So this is about Jacob, Israel. This is about, and Israel lived. It was how he went down into Egypt. So may this be a time where we use our time, like the same way while the divine soul has to be in this physical body with the animal soul, and it's used for the highest good and to make it even brighter and a greater love for Hashem and even more divinity. May it be so that we use any kind of darkness to shine even brighter, and any kind of exile to be even more even more liberation. Amen. Have a good Shabbos and an easy fast. We're fasting tomorrow, the Friday, from 5 a.m. approximately, something like that. And till after Shabbos starts, we light the candles till the Kiddush, till the time we eat the meal, as a way of mourning, because God became homeless. It was like a special house for God's worship, just to worship God and do the way that God wanted to be worshipped, the way that God commanded. And it was destroyed. It was destroyed by people who were maybe stuck in ego traps, who wanted to be seen as the God, who wanted to have the power, jealous, who were upset at other people's pleasure at serving God, and they took pleasure at other people's pain, maybe from their own low self-worth. Who knows? And and speaking of the fact that I calculated the months and the birthday, and we learned about not to judge our creation. We should be creative, being in creative flow and energy and resourceful. And may the northern one be removed and driven to a barren and desolate land. The spirit of the northern one, and everyone should be free of the spirit. And his foulness shall come up, his ill savor shall ascend, though he's done great things. Amen. Ken Hiratzon, which means as the will, as it will be willed.